Rihanna's family almost didn't make it. Someone pulled up to her Beverly Hills mansion with an AR-15 and opened fire. And the internet is absolutely losing it because the details of what happened that Sunday afternoon are straight terrifying. Everybody thought they had the basics: a shooting near a celebrity's home, scary, sure, but distant, contained, the kind of headline you scroll past and shake your head at. That was the version that first hit the feeds. But now that prosecutors have spoken, now that the full court picture is coming into focus, now that we know exactly who was inside that house, the whole narrative is shifting. Because this wasn't just a shooting near a celebrity's property. This was 20 bullets flying toward a home where a mother, a father, and 3 children under the age of 4 were sitting. That hits completely different. Let me break this down from the very beginning, because the details here are layered, and every single layer makes this story more disturbing than the one before it. It's Sunday, March 8th, 2026. The time is 1:21 p.m. Not the middle of the night, not some shadowy after-hours situation. This is broad daylight, early afternoon, the kind of time when families are just existing, sitting around, living their lives. And Rihanna's Beverly Hills post office neighborhood, this is not just any street in LA. We're talking one of the most upscale, guarded, surveilled corridors in the entire city. Sir Paul McCartney lives on the same block. Think about that for a second. This is a neighborhood where security isn't an afterthought, it's baked into the architecture. And yet, a white Tesla pulls up across the street from Rihanna's front gate. The car stops, and a 35-year-old woman leans out the window with an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, and she fires. Not once, not a warning shot, not some kind of accident or misfire. She fires repeatedly into the property, into the gate, into the driveway, bullets ripping through the air at 1:21 in the afternoon. Now, when the story first broke, LAPD radio dispatch reported approximately 10 shots. 10 shots was already catastrophic, but when prosecutors stood up in court on March 26th and laid out the full picture, the number was 20. 20 bullets, at least, fired directly toward that property and a neighboring home. Let that land for a second. And here's where the evidence starts to paint an absolutely chilling picture, because those 20 bullets didn't disappear into the air. They hit things, specific things. The front gate of the mansion, photographs circulated online showing visible bullet holes punched into the metal. Right there, clear as day. This isn't speculation. The physical evidence is documented and photographed. An Airstream trailer, an RV parked in the driveway, was struck, and reports from People magazine, Page 6, multiple outlets all confirmed the same detail. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky were sitting inside that Airstream trailer at that exact moment. They were in it while it was being shot at. The main house wall was hit, at least one round penetrated through, and bullets reportedly reached the neighboring property as well, putting people next door in immediate danger too. Police arrived and recovered 7 shell casings from the scene, 7 physical pieces of evidence scattered across the street, and the AR-15 rifle itself was recovered from the suspect's vehicle during the arrest. Now, online, the moment this story dropped, fans turned into full-blown investigators. Like, people were not sleeping on this. Social media lit up. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everybody pulling every detail they could find. People were zooming into those gate photographs, comparing bullet impact angles, analyzing the trajectory based on where the Tesla was reportedly parked versus the position of the Airstream in the driveway. And the consensus that emerged from all that online analysis, the alignment is almost impossible to ignore. The angle of those shots, the position of the vehicle, the reported location of the Airstream, folks online are saying that trailer was not just a random hit, it was directly in the line of fire. Allegedly. But the physical evidence that has been photographed and reported on, it is documented, it is real, and it tells a story that is honestly hard to process. The chase after the shooting adds another layer of detail to this whole picture. After the shots rang out, the white Tesla fled south on Coldwater Canyon Drive, LAPD scrambled immediately. A helicopter was dispatched and relayed identifying details over the radio. Suspect had hair and braids, wearing a cream-colored blouse. The vehicle was dirty on the lower half. The helicopter tracked that Tesla to a Sherman Oaks Galleria shopping center parking lot, 8 miles from Rihanna'S home. The suspect was arrested approximately 30 minutes after the 911 call was made. 30 minutes. From the moment those 20 bullets flew toward a home where children were sleeping and parents were sitting in a trailer, to handcuffs. 30 minutes. The LA County District Attorney, Nathan Hochman, confirmed publicly the entire family was in immediate danger. The couple could have been hit. Those aren't fan theories. That's not internet speculation. That is the District Attorney of Los Angeles County standing up and putting it on record. And it gets even crazier. Now let's get into the deeper layer here, because this story isn't just about what happened in those 30 seconds of gunfire. It's about everything that surrounds it, the context, the climate, the question that every single person who heard this story asked immediately: why? Why would someone pull up to Rihanna'S home in broad daylight in one of the most watched neighborhoods in America with a semi-automatic rifle and open fire? We don't have a confirmed prosecuted motive yet. The case is still moving through the legal system. But let's talk about what we do know, what the internet is discussing, what sources and reports are beginning to circle around. First, let's put Rihanna'S position in perspective, because understanding who she is right now in 2026 matters. This isn't just a pop star. This isn't just a celebrity. Rihanna is, by virtually every metric, one of the most powerful and wealthy women in the entertainment and business world on the planet. Forbes has her listed among the wealthiest self-made women in America. Fenty Beauty alone, her cosmetics empire, generated billions. Savage X Fenty has disrupted the entire lingerie industry. She sits at the intersection of music, fashion, beauty, and business in a way that almost no other public figure does. She's had a baby daughter, baby Rocky, born in September 2025. She has 2 sons, Riza, who just turned 3, and Riot, who is 2. She is a mother of 3 children under the age of 4, living in what she believed to be one of the most secure neighborhoods in Los Angeles, and someone drove up to her gate with an AR-15. That kind of targeting, allegedly, doesn't happen randomly, and people online are not letting that conversation go quietly. Now here's where the backstory gets genuinely significant, because Rihanna reportedly told sources she doesn't understand why someone would target her family, and that's the question circulating everywhere right now. Sources close to her confirmed to multiple outlets that she is absolutely shell-shocked, that she heard the shots but was initially confused about what happened, that a friend and insider described her as freaking the F out. And honestly, that reaction is completely understandable, because when you try to wrap your head around the motive, you run into something uncomfortable: the broader pattern. See, sources quoted by the Daily Mail made a point that shouldn't be overlooked. This is not the first time the ultra-wealthy of Los Angeles have been targeted recently. According to that same reporting, there was the brutal break-in and murder at the Avant property. Nicki Minaj's home was swatted. Garcelle Beauvaux's house was targeted. And now Rihanna, who reportedly knows all 3 of those figures personally, has been added to that list. There's a pattern forming in Los Angeles that people are starting to call out loudly. High-profile, wealthy celebrities in specific neighborhoods are becoming targets, whether it's theft, harassment, or, in this case, what prosecutors are describing as something far more violent and deliberate. The city's wealthiest residents are increasingly feeling like they are not safe. And that is the backdrop against which this shooting happened. The internet has been dissecting the suspect herself, a 35-year-old woman, not a professional criminal with a documented history of violence, not part of an organized operation, as far as we know from current reporting, just a person who allegedly drove a Tesla to Rihanna'S gate and opened fire. And that almost makes it more unsettling, not less, because it's so random seeming on the surface, and yet so calculated in execution. You don't accidentally end up 8 miles from a crime scene with a rifle in your car. You don't accidentally fire 20 rounds through a front gate, allegedly. Sources have not yet confirmed a direct personal connection between the suspect and Rihanna'S family. Legal proceedings are still unfolding, but people online are not waiting for the courtroom to speculate. And honestly, the conversation happening on social media right now is a whole universe of theories, opinions, and genuine fear. Some folks are saying this was random, that it was someone in crisis, acting out. Others are pointing to the specific location of the airstream and arguing this was far too deliberate to be random. The alignment, the timing, the fact that she waited, pulled up, and fired rather than driving past. Put all of that together, and you have a story that is still, frankly, not fully told yet. And it gets worse, because the moment Rihanna heard those shots, the moment she realized what had happened, the next 24 hours of her life were among the most terrifying any parent could imagine. Let's get into that. Here's the part that just stops you cold. 10 people were inside that property when those 20 bullets flew. 10. Rihanna, A$AP Rocky, Rihanna's mother, several staff members, and 3 children. RZA, 3 years old. Riot, 2 years old. Baby Rocky, 5 or 6 months old. Born in September 2025, barely old enough to sit up on her own. These are babies, and they were inside that home, inside those walls, while bullets were punching through the front gate, striking an RV in the driveway, penetrating the main house wall, and reaching the neighbor's property. A 5-month-old baby in a house being shot at. Let that sit. Rihanna heard the shots. Reports say she was confused at first, couldn't process what was happening. That moment of confusion before understanding arrives, that's its own kind of horror. And then the understanding comes, and everything changes. Insiders described her as freaking the F out. And you know what? That's not a dramatic overstatement. That's a mother who just heard gunfire aimed at the house where her 5-month-old daughter, her 2-year-old son, and her 3-year-old son are inside. She evacuated immediately. The next morning, March 9th, photographers captured Rihanna's security team carrying suitcases and a baby bassinet out of the front of the house and loading them into waiting SUVs. A baby bassinet being carried out of a house riddled with bullet holes. That image alone says everything. Rihanna left Los Angeles from Van Nuys Private Airport on Monday. A small motorcade, no fanfare, just a mother getting her children out. She rescheduled an upcoming photo shoot. Because, of course, she did. Rihanna's mother was also inside that home during the shooting, an older woman, somebody's grandmother to those babies. She was there for all of it. Think about what you do in the minutes after something like that. You grab your children. You don't think, you just move. Every instinct in your body is telling you to get your kids and run. And that is exactly what Rihanna reportedly did. Sources told the Daily Mail that she is now seriously considering leaving Los Angeles entirely, moving her family to London, because the city she built her life in, the neighborhood she invested $13.8 million in, the home she chose to raise her children in, no longer feels safe. Her children are all that matters to her in the long run, and their protection is paramount. That's not PR language, that's a parent. A real one, making real decisions in the aftermath of the most terrifying afternoon of her family's life. Now here's where this whole situation gets even crazier when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture forming around it. Because Rihanna's shooting didn't happen in a vacuum, it happened inside a pattern, a disturbing, escalating pattern of high-profile homes in Los Angeles being targeted that has the entire city's celebrity community shaken. Let's talk about that pattern, because the internet has been piecing this together, and it's not a comfortable picture. The Avant property, Clarence Avant, a legend in the music business, his wife, Nicole Avant, was murdered in their Beverly Hills home in 2021, a home invasion that shocked the industry. The perpetrators were eventually prosecuted, but the psychological damage to the community, that never fully healed. That case reminded everyone that wealth and neighborhood prestige are not in themselves protection. Then you have the incidents that hit closer to the present moment. Nicki Minaj's home being swatted, Garcelle Beauvais' house being targeted. These are not isolated incidents. These are data points in a trend that celebrities in LA are very much aware of. And reportedly, according to Daily Mail sources, Rihanna knows all three of those people. She's connected to all of those situations. She's been watching this pattern build from the inside. And now, it's her house, her gate, her family. The online conversation around all of this has exploded in the days and weeks following the shooting. Social media turned into this massive, sprawling investigation. People weren't just reacting emotionally, though there was plenty of that. They were analyzing, dissecting, researching. Fans started pulling satellite images of the street, comparing the reported position of the white Tesla to the known layout of the driveway. Online detectives were measuring sightlines, looking at where the Airstream was parked relative to the gate. Some folks online have gone as far as pulling traffic camera data timelines, comparing them to the 1:21 p.m. timestamp of the initial 911 dispatch. Now, let's keep it real. Everything that isn't confirmed in a courtroom is speculation. Always is. But the level of detail that internet investigators have assembled around this story is genuinely remarkable, and some of the observations they're making align with what prosecutors and reporters have already put on the record. The Sherman Oaks Galleria connection got a lot of attention too, because that parking lot, 8 miles from Rihanna's home, became the endpoint of a 30-minute chase, and people online started asking questions about that location. Why there? Was it random? Was it familiar to the suspect? Is there a significance to that specific destination? No confirmed answers yet, but the questions are real, and the conversation isn't going anywhere. Meanwhile, the March 17th public sighting of Rihanna and A$AP Rocky in Manhattan sent its own message. They were spotted exiting a building together, their first public appearance since the shooting, and the security detail around them was, by all accounts, dramatically larger than anything people had seen around them before. Multiple sources noted that the visible protective presence was noticeably, unmistakably heavier than their usual arrangement.
And that visual, two parents surrounded by security moving carefully through a public space just 9 days after their home was shot at, is striking. It says something without saying anything. The body language, the formation, the way they moved, everything is different now. Sources close to the family have been careful with their words publicly, but the private picture painted by insiders is one of a household that is fundamentally recalibrating. Decisions are being made. Security is being overhauled. The question of London, of leaving LA altogether, is reportedly very much alive in private conversations. And you have to wonder, when a woman who has the resources to live literally anywhere in the world starts weighing whether to leave the city she called home for years, what does that say about how safe any of us are supposed to feel? That's a question that goes beyond Rihanna, and the internet knows it. And this story has implications that stretch way beyond one mansion on one street in Beverly Hills. What we're seeing here is something that people have been uncomfortable talking about directly for a while now. The mythology of celebrity safety is cracking. There has always been this assumed understanding, almost an unspoken agreement, that extreme wealth buys extreme protection, that if you have the resources to live in a gated community on a street with your own security detail and your neighbor is Paul McCartney, you are insulated. You are behind a wall that ordinary danger cannot penetrate. March 8, 2026, put a bullet in that assumption, literally. And the broader conversation now, the one happening across social media, in entertainment circles, in security consulting firms, in the private group chats of people who live in that world, is about the limits of that insulation. Because if a white Tesla can park across the street from one of the most well-protected private residences in Los Angeles and fire 20 rounds into the property on a Sunday afternoon, then what is the line? Where is the protection? What does security even mean? And it's not just about physical security, it's about visibility, about what happens when you are famous enough that your address is discoverable, when your neighborhood is photographed so many times by so many people that anyone who wants to find you can, when the architecture of celebrity, the public appearances, the social media, the documented movements creates a map that anyone with a grievance and a rifle can follow. People are saying that this incident is a warning, not just for Rihanna, not just for the ultra-wealthy in Beverly Hills, but for anyone who lives visibly, anyone whose life is partly performed in public. The more your world is documented and broadcast, the more your location, your schedule, your routines become accessible to whoever is paying attention. And the internet, the very mechanism that built Rihanna's cultural empire, that amplified her from Barbados to global icon status, that made her one of the most recognized humans on the planet, is also the mechanism that makes hiding impossible. That is a tension that doesn't have an easy resolution. Fans who have followed this story are not just processing it as celebrity gossip. You can feel the shift in the comment sections. People are genuinely rattled, especially parents, because the image of a baby bassinet being carried out of a bullet-struck house cuts through the celebrity layer entirely. It stops being about fame. It becomes about something far more fundamental. The conversation about LA's safety, about whether the city is governable for its wealthiest and most visible residents, about whether law enforcement response is fast enough, thorough enough, preventative enough, that conversation is now louder than it has been in years, and Rihanna's name is at the center of it. So where does this all go from here? The legal case is moving. Prosecutors laid out their evidence on March 26th. 20 bullets, a recovered AR-15, shell casings, bullet holes in a gate, a family of 5, including a 5-month-old baby, in the line of fire. The DA's office is not treating this quietly.
But the bigger question, the one that keeps circling back, the one that won't be resolved in a courtroom, is what happens to Rihanna and her family now? Does she leave? Does London become the answer? Sources say decisions will be made fast, that the children are everything, that protection is paramount. And when you look at the sequence of events, the shooting, the immediate evacuation, the private airport departure, the dramatically increased security in New York just 9 days later, the pattern suggests a family that is not waiting around to see what happens next. And A$AP Rocky, let's not forget he was in that Airstream too. He was sitting in that trailer when the bullets hit it, a father, right there. Reports have stayed somewhat quieter about his specific reaction in the immediate aftermath, but the fact that the couple was spotted together in Manhattan, moving carefully, surrounded by security, suggests a united front. Two parents, together, processing something that no amount of fame or wealth fully prepares you for. The speculation online about motive continues to swirl. People are still piecing together whatever fragments surface, still analyzing, still asking why. And honestly, until the full legal proceedings play out, why may not have a clean answer. Sometimes the most terrifying thing about an act of violence is how inexplicable it remains, even after the person responsible is in custody. What the internet keeps coming back to, though, is the same image, the Airstream, parked in the driveway, riddled with bullet holes. And somewhere inside it, in the moment those shots rang out, Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. That image is the whole story, really. Everything else is context around it. And we are still watching how this unfolds. Stay locked in, because this story is nowhere near over. Legal proceedings are continuing. The case is building. More details are going to surface as this moves through the courts. Sources close to the family have said decisions about their living situation are being made quickly. The London conversation is alive. The security overhaul is happening in real time. And we're going to be covering every single development as it drops. So I need to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Rihanna should leave Los Angeles entirely? Is London the right move? Or does relocating send the wrong message, like Fear won? And here's the second question. Does this situation change how you think about celebrity visibility? About how much public figures share about their lives, their locations, their routines? Because both of those conversations are worth having, and I genuinely want to hear where you stand. If this video gave you something to think about, if it hit different, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it means everything for keeping this channel going. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit subscribe. Turn on those notifications, because we are covering every twist, every court update, every development in this story as it comes. I appreciate every single one of you who rocks with this channel. For real. Stay safe out there. And remember this, the more visible your life becomes, the more important it is to protect the parts of it that are irreplaceable. Rihanna learned that on a Sunday afternoon at 1:21 p.m. Let's hope the rest of us never have to learn it the same way. I'll see you in the next one.